the way I structured the book was really to loosely follow the life cycle of a research project, starting with the data gathering and going all the way through to the theorizing. And Lisa, I will get to her in a while, who's the closing chapter, apart from the one about how to navigate reviewers, to how to deal with the process. What happened is that the GIBS people were on the theorizing part. Very much, I mean, Gloria is starting to code the data. How do you capture the nuances of what the data are saying to you? On the earlier chapters, we have people who did really excellent work on how do you gather the data. And it was interesting for me, the conversation at GIBS is really about theory, and how do you make a theoretical contribution? And you can see that in the strengths of the people who come out of GIBS. But I just want to talk briefly about the people who were contributing in the earlier parts of the book. The first one was a project where it was a Brazilian group. They got funding to look at digital gaming, and they had a real problem because the digital gaming industry is emerging. There's not a database or an industry association. You're at risk of using up all your contacts when you try and do a pilot. And then what they had is a massive problem that the papers said to them, digital gaming from Brazil, that's not a third world topic. You know, that's, if you want to do digital gaming, go to Silicon Valley. And they're like, no, if you are trying to transform your economy, you really want to have industries that are emerging industries. So in a sense, they had the additional problem that they were doing this as part of a project for government, but they wanted to publish from it, but there was a huge lack of legitimacy that the world kind of understands poverty and maybe mining coming from emerging markets, but digital gaming was a step too far. And how they needed to find an angle to allow people to say this is useful information. One other one was a guy from originally Jordan who did his PhD on the role of WASDA in gender inclusion in the Middle East. Now, WASDA is basically, I rub your back, you rub my back. It's a mutual obligation thing, and that is how the whole society works. And he was interested when you're trying to look at how women are included in the Middle East, how does this you rub my back and I rub your back, how is that going to work out? But the problem is, for him to get his data, he needed to use WASDA, because that's how society works. And he said he's doing his PhD in the UK, and he's really challenged by the fact that the central ethical dilemma that he faces is not whether he has signed informed consent forms, but the fact that he's got to ask his brother and his dad and his uncle to use their contacts so that he can get access into organizations and to use the WASDA, and what is he asking? And of course, his British university, as long as there's a signed informed consent form, they're absolutely happy. And so how one talks about what the ethics process asks and forgets to ask. So I think that's a really big consideration.